belonged to Mary Ann Abbott, who was the Smith's niece, and she took care of the couple and did housework, so it's not abnormal that her prints were on the teacup. The print found matched her left thumb, which was a radial loop, and we were again able to identify 8 minutiae that matched both prints, so we were able to determine that this print belonged to Mary Ann. From the evidence I've explained, it's most likely that Anton Geisler was the one who committed the crime because his prints were found on the actual murder weapon and the east room window, which was the entrance and the exit for the murderer.
Hi, my name is Katie Pellegrini, and I'm the expert witness on footprints. Every potential suspect involved in this crime left some sort of trace of a footprint on or around the scene that help us piece together a story for what route the murderer took in this crime. One of the pieces of footprint evidence that was found was a footprint found on the front porch, which belonged to Henry Bauer. It would make sense for Henry Bauer's footprint to be on the front porch because he's testified to having tea with the Smiths that night, and it would make sense for him to go on the front porch to enter the front door to enter the household. Anton's footprint, which is the middle footprint pictured, matches both the footprints near the workshop, which is the footprint on the right, and the east room window, which is the footprint on the left. It makes sense that Anton walked near the workshop to get his murder weapon, which was the hammer. Therefore, he left a footprint there. The footprint near the east room window could help us conclude that Anton entered and exited the house through this window, leaving a footprint while making his escape. The footprint evidence found was also near the front porch. This footprint belongs to Francis Curran, who is a peddler and would go from farm to farm selling goods every day. So it makes sense that his footprint was found near the front door at the crime scene. All the footprint evidence found, it is most likely that Anton was the murderer, since his footprints were found near the workshop where he could have grabbed the murder weapon and near the east room window, which could have been his route to escape and enter the building.
Hello everybody, my name is Claire Pappas and I'm an expert witness in blood typing and blood spatter. I have knowledge, skill, experience, and training, and a lot of education in my profession. I've studied at Boston University for 4 years and I graduated with a degree in forensic science. I have worked in the Alameda County Crime Lab and I'm working at the Forensics Analytical Laboratory in Hayward right now. I've been working for 12 years and I've been able to enhance my skills in the understanding of blood typing through many experiences. At the crime scene, there were 11 different pieces of evidence just for blood. There was many blood drops found throughout the crime scene and around the house that raised questions as to who could have murdered the Smiths. There were 2 large blood pools around Mr. and Mrs. Smith after being struck by an object. First, there was blood pool A. To test all the blood samples, I used serums which simulate antibodies. Because each antibody only binds tightly to one type of antigen, antibodies are useful for identification of blood type. Antibodies will bind to the corresponding antigens on the red blood cells. The binding of these antibodies in the serum will cause a visible clumping or clouding in the mixture of the blood and the blood serum. After testing blood pool A and Alexander Smith's blood, there was no reactions for both, which meant that they matched in blood type, O negative. After testing blood pool B and Rebecca Smith, they both showed a reaction in the anti-B serum, helping us conclude where the 2 victims' blood was located and that she had B negative blood. The next piece of evidence that was tested was the blood drop on the east room window. There was a reaction in the anti-A serum and the anti-RH serum. After testing Henry Bauer and Anton Geisler's blood in the lab, it showed that they both had A positive blood, which matched the blood sample found at the east room window. The blood droplets found on the front room floor after being tested matched Alexander Smith's blood. There was also another sample for blood droplets found on the front room floor that matched Rebecca Smith's blood type. It is possible that after being hit to the head that their blood splattered and dispersed throughout the room. The next piece of evidence was the blood pattern on the front room wall, which matched Alexander Smith's blood type, O negative. After being blown to the head, it is often that the blood will fly out from the object that is being used to kill a person. Next were the blood droplets on the east room floor, which tested for A positive. This means that they matched Anton and Henry's blood type. Next was the blood droplets on the hammer. So it is possible that the hammer was used to kill the Smiths. because Rebecca Smith's blood type matched the blood on the hammer. Once again, the blood droplets on the money chest and the blood droplets on the front porch match Henry and Anton's blood type, A positive. The blood droplets on the axe matched Anton and Henry's blood type once again. As far as suspects go, I tested Frances Curran and Mary Ann Abbott's blood, and it was not found at the crime scene, and I do not believe that they were there. Mary Ann Abbott had the same blood type as Mr. Smith, but if her alibi is true that she hadn't been at the Smith house, her blood couldn't have been there. She took care, cleaned, and helped the Smiths in their house. She stated that she left to go see her mother and did not return to the Smiths until Monday for work. Frances's blood did not match anything in the household. Henry Bauer and Anton Geisler's were found all over the house and even on possible murder weapons. Geisler was with the Smiths the day of the murder for tea, and according to the police, he had a tear in his jeans and some blood visible at the knee. Henry was also at the Smiths for tea the day of the murder, so the two of them are high up on the suspects list. For my other specialty, blood spatter. In the east room window, there was a passive drop that was 2.45 centimeters in a downward direction, and it is suspected that it came from a drop from the glass window. The next piece of evidence with blood spatter was the front room wall, which had a medium velocity spatter that was 30 centimeters in an upwards direction, and the possible source of blood spatter is believed to be a cast-off from the murder weapon. The blood spatter from the front room floor consisted of a drip pattern that was 12 centimeters in a downward direction, possibly from the murder weapon. Next was the east room floor, which had a drip pattern with medium velocity of 1.25 to 3.5 centimeters in a downward direction, coming from the murder weapon again. Blood pool A was clotted blood, 30 centimeters in size, moving in a downward direction, and the bleeding was coming from Alexander Smith's head.